So it is the SEC Growth ModelOps staff meeting with not a lot of people here today, but that's fine. There's a lot of time off in the summer where at least I am. It's summer, not where Mon is, or others. But why don't we get started? So news and events. Congratulations to Thomas, who's also out on his promotion to senior manager, from interim senior manager. So let's all celebrate a little bit so he can watch us all celebrate. I'm looking for celebration, Neil and Mon. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Well done, Thomas. Congratulations.
Yes. Cool. So great. I'll make sure he sees the video. There's a read-only item on offboarding comms iterations, so please read that. So from Christopher, I'm passing on. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He's asking hiring managers to fix start dates for open positions. This is for budget and other planning purposes. It's a field in the open positions in the job info page. Not sure if hiring managers have access to change it. They may need to ask their recruiter to update it. So net is, please put predicted start dates on open recs. And if you don't have access to it yourself, please ask your recruiter to do it for you. Phil, it looks like perfect timing. Looks like you've got the next item.
Hi, yeah, just wanted to let everyone know that the realignment takes effect from next week. I've linked to the issue that explains all the changes. Most of them affect growth. So myself and the teams that I've been working with, the net for this group is I'll continue to work with Camille in growth, with Jay, who's now here with anti-abuse, and I'll start working with Neil, Tiago, and the threat insights and container security teams. Neil and Tiago and I have already started one-on-ones. I'll be reaching out and setting up skip levels with those groups over the next few weeks.
Great.
Cool. And then, yeah, I'm on PTO next week and the week following. So for 2 weeks on the heels of Thomas coming back. So no overlap there. And then I didn't put it here, but in 2.5 weeks, the US has our July 4th Independence Day holiday. So that'll be a quieter day for non-US team members. I am curious, has anyone heard from Thomas regarding him being in the crazy land of Yellowstone?
I have been really impressed that I've gotten 0 messages from him while he's been off. I've also worked very hard to I don't think I tagged him in anything either in Slack. I did that very intentionally. Yeah,
I haven't seen a peep from him. I feel like he went to Yellowstone first last week, so hopefully he avoided all that mess.
In terms of time off, as well as Monday next week is a US holiday, Juneteenth. So most people will be off, most people in the US at least will be off that day. And next week, Friday, is friends and family. So next week's a 3-day week for many and a 40 week for everybody else. So no big rocks and hot issues. In the hallway, I wanted to actually discuss this. So we are, as probably everyone knows, or everyone should know, we've got this cross-functional prioritization process that I'm the actual facilitator of across engineering and product management. It's been a good portion of my time on. And I'd like to some theories with this team, is specifically focusing on SEC, just because it has the most groups in it, not because I don't love growth and model ops too. So for SEC, so I have the dashboard here, link, percent undefined was higher than the benchmark, less than 10%, but now it's under 10%. I declare that as a success. That's, sorry, percent undefined. We wanted to get less than 10% undefined, and we're there. And that's actually consistent with actually most teams and engineering overall. Yay. Percentage of bugs tends to be less than 10%, which is the benchmark. Also great. That's where we want to be in the benchmark. Percentage maintenance is 40%. Our benchmark is 30%. And percentage features is 40%. Our benchmark is closer to 60%. So we're a little higher on maintenance, a little lower on features. Not that far off. Many, as I look on specific groups and many sections, it's very different than the benchmark. So we're close to the benchmark, which isn't necessarily good or bad. Nobody was targeting these benchmarks previously, except for the undefined. So and the benchmarks may not make sense for some groups or even some sections. So is this what the section expects? Features are a bit lower than the benchmark and maintenance a bit higher. If not, what actions should we potentially take to improve it in the future? Not asking for commitment here, just asking for impressions and thoughts.
One thought is we did an intro session for container security yesterday, and it was identified that we're going to likely have more MRs for maintenance type of work, just smaller types of things. So I think that's a broader conversation that's happening within the working group and the AMAs. But since we're tracking MR count and not issues, there's not a direct correlation between that. So we might just inherently see more maintenance MRs because they're smaller bits of work. That was notable from that, just because that is a little lopsided. I'm looking specifically at container security, there's more maintenance.
Yeah, I think for anti-abuse, we're going to be feature heavy. We do inherit a couple pieces of property, so there could be more maintenance there as well. But I think with new product vision, it's just going to be feature heavy.
That's great.
Scott?
When you get a chance, Jay, if you can confirm that anti-abuse actually is under SEC for this, that'd be great. No rush on that. That was my question too. I know with all the changes, I don't know if that actually happened with how the dashboards work, et cetera.
Okay, so you want me to make sure that our tallies are underneath the tally that we're looking at? Is that
That
what
the
you're asking?
anti-abuses MRs are counted as being part of the SEC section,
Okay,
which I think they are, but it's for since we changed everything around, it may not be.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
add it as an item to do.
Cool, thanks. And no rush on that. It's just sharpening the saw. What does everybody else think?
It's not something that I have spent much of any time thinking about before this meeting. So shooting from the hip, but I suppose it doesn't surprise me since I haven't thought about it too much one way or the other. I mean, it would have been interesting to make a guess prior, but it's not surprising. And kind of a little bit of what Neil kind of alluded to, like at least in the static analysis, like we do a bunch of analyzer updates, which are like maintenance of, keeping them up to date. We do several of those every single month. And they're smaller versus the features. So that kind of makes sense from my corner of the world.
Thanks, Ross.
I have another interesting anecdote. So we have a security training feature that we've released. Now we have some follow-up tasks to make the backend cleaner, not the backend, like the integration between backend and front end, just the data ingestion. That won't be user impacting. So therefore it's classified as maintenance, but then we also have other work that's going to affect the interface, even though it might be subtle. So it's kind of an interesting position to be in, just because we have this project that's ongoing and it still has a span. You would expect it to all be featured, but that's just not true if we're following the guidelines of these types.
I'd say if it benefits users, it feels like a feature to me versus maintenance. I know a lot of the time it's a judgment call.
Right.
Mon, you unmuted earlier. I don't know if you were trying to add something.
No, I wasn't adding anything. I was just sort of curious more on the science behind the benchmark.
What is the science behind the benchmark?
Yeah, like
you mean how it's computed or why we chose these goals?
yeah. Why do we choose these goals? Because even I mean, our team is new, but it'll be quite different, I feel.
Yeah, that question has come up often. It's a great question. We chose these guidelines because we want to have the proper mix of features, maintenance, and bugs. But we know it's going to be different for some teams. Like on your team is going to be mostly features. You don't have that much code in production yet. You need to maintain or many bugs in it to fix. That's normal and expected, similar to Jay's team. at least what Jay's team is currently working on, differently than Neil and Ross's teams, and and the growth teams, where they have more of a mixture, just guessing. And we want to continue focusing on things for users to benefit users, but we don't want to let bugs slip by and have major security issues stick out there too long, or have infrastructure issues, or we also don't want error budgets to get out of whack, or an availability things. So that's why, and we also want to make sure we're continuing to refactor to improve future velocity. And that goes into the maintenance bucket generally. Kyle Weavers, I think I'm saying his last name correctly, and the quality team is researching what other companies do. And I've been doing a little bit of that with them to see, do other companies measure similar things? And if so, what are their goals, et cetera? So we'll see. I think he's presenting the results on that tomorrow, or an update on that tomorrow. One thing I didn't catch, but I saw on social media with some posts I did to get feedback, is features count as research and development from a tax purpose, where maintenance and bugs often don't, or sometimes don't. And that actually has tax implications on tax write-offs, where I know we have that in the US, and also for people in the US and for team members in Australia. I just happen to know Australia because I know Tiago was coordinating that across engineering. I think other countries too. That's not one of the top reasons. Actually, I don't think that's actually a reason we're doing it, but it's a side benefit of it as well. So that's some of it. Neil, you've been in a lot of these conversations like I have. Does that seem about right? What did I miss?
I mean, there's so much going on with this conversation. I haven't even heard of the R&D, although I'm vividly aware of that from other organizations I've been part of. And I know Tiago was working on something related to that recently, or maybe that was a location thing. I don't know. There's so many considerations. We had AMAs. I think we still have one scheduled for an hour or so from now. I didn't expect this to be so much conversation. So take a look at those notes, and you'd be surprised at how many thoughts are floating around regarding this topic. And we're also continuing to update.
Maybe ask again in the AMA if you can make it, Mon, today. There's a second one at an APAC friendly time later today. So be interesting to get others' thoughts too. Cool.
Cool.
I think we've heard, Phil, we heard from everybody else. I don't know, Phil, if you have any thoughts. If you don't, that's fine, of course. But do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I'm interested to see whether we'll end up moving more towards the numbers that have been suggested or not.
Great. That's all we had on the agenda. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers.
Cool. See ya.